Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Big Money Stylist podcast, episode number 46.
Woo.
46. That sounds old.
What are we going to do for 50?
Oh, that sounds old. I mean, that sounds high.
Old. I'm like, who's old?
Yeah, what? Our podcast sounds old.
We're 46 weeks old,
yes,
not years.
Yes. Woo. Oh, how many weeks are in a year?
52.
We almost made it. We started last January, and we're keeping strong.
I mean, wow. We have almost done it for a year.
You know what, though? Like, we have some loyal listeners. Even some of my clients, they're like, I'll like say something and they'll pretend like they're not fans, and then they'll be like, well, I mean, okay, I listen to the podcast every week. And I'm like, it's cool.
I've been getting messages here and there, and they go, why are you not a podcast anymore? Where are you? And I'm like, just taking a break, guys. I just needed a little bit of space.
Just figuring out life.
They're like, why? What's going on? I'm like, nothing's going on, guys. I just needed a breather. It's cool.
You're back. You're back in your safe, padded blue and black room.
Yes. If you are not watching, you can actually watch what we look like or watch what we look like. Good Lord. Watch what we're doing and see what we look like. And don't judge me if I look bald. I am getting my hair in tomorrow. I took it out just for one night to get I got a really good shampoo.
I was going to say, doesn't it feel good though? You're just like, oh, I don't care if I look homeless. The shampoo is so good.
Morgan had to shampoo my hair, God. And she goes, ew. I was like, I'm sorry, okay? It's a week dirty. Shut up.
On that note, Morgan came into the salon the other day, and she had her extensions out and no makeup. And sorry, Morgan, but she chipped her tooth, and she was in like a t-shirt, and I was like, is everything okay? And she was like, yeah, I just took my hair out. And I was like, okay, put that back in.
And this is a crazy story. So Morgan is one of the girls in the salon. She dropped her phone on her face, and it literally chipped her front tooth.
I dropped a high bar on my face, and that's how I chipped my front tooth.
Oh my God.
Don't drop things don't put anything over your head, ever. Nothing should be dangling over your face.
There's so many jokes I want to make
about
that.
That sounded so dirty. Don't dangle heavy on. Okay, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Don't drop anything on your face, okay, guys?
So that's it for the Big Money Stylist podcast, and the moral of the story is don't dangle things in front of your face. I don't even know how to respond to this anymore. Well, we made it 2 minutes and 21 seconds, and
perfect.
Now we're done.
Grab your dongle and get.
Sorry. God, you know, someone told me it actually is called a dongle.
It is called a dongle.
Let me explain what a dongle is. It's an adapter from your phone to like an SD card.
Yeah, it's a dongle.
Well,
Ani gave me shit about it for a good 2 weeks.
Yes, you know what happened? I was shampooing a client. No, I did not. I was just shampooing a client, and I was like, it's not a dongle. She looks up at me. She goes, I hate to tell you, but they're all called dongles. Yes. I'm like, damn it.
If you go on Amazon or Google and you type it in, SD attachment, and then you pull it up, it's like, dongle, $7.99. You're like, well, get me a couple dongles.
Single ladies, you can buy them off Amazon.
It's not what you think. It serves another purpose, equally as good.
Oh, this just got so out of hand.
Actually, our topic today, Ani, you bring us in because it's kind of a serious topic, but okay, bring us in.
So I know last week we ended up talking a lot about just kind of purpose and pushing forward and putting yourself in an owner's shoes, like a business owner's shoes. So
walk in someone's shoes.
Yes, always, which is important. I feel like in relationships, I feel like everything's a relationship. You and I have a relationship. Yep. Garrett and I have one. The team members have one. Yep. You have a marriage that's a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend. They're all relationships, just with different rules and levels.
Right.
But inside of that, I want to talk today about really protecting a business and things that we have done where we've totally messed up. And I can take full accountability on stuff that we should have done, didn't do, whatever. But I want to talk about just protecting your business. Because last week we spoke about Sally inside of the network who had people walk out. She ended up selling her car. And now she's just like really working to make this work for her. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about keeping teams together.
Yeah. I think it's like, if you don't walk in somebody's shoes, it's hard to have respect for them. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, it is. Like, we've all been on both sides of the fence, and it's literally life repeats itself in so many different lessons and variations, but they're all kind of the same in different areas. What did you ask me?
I said, let's talk about keeping teams together.
So I talked about it in my last podcast. I'm 8 years into my brand. And this last year, I finally, I gave my husband ownership of the education. I was like, you're CEO of the salon, whatever. And he's like, I got it. And I'm like, sweet. I just want to do hair. I want to teach. That's what I'm passionate about. I can't keep going at this mental crazy level anymore. I put in my 8 years, but I want to be a mom, and I still want to see my business flourish, but I don't want to be at the same stress levels, and I want to bring you in to help me manage it. And in doing so, I stepped away quite a bit. And I think that like I stopped leading. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's in I used to lead more. Even when I first opened my salon, I would lead the best I knew how to lead. You know what I mean? And then when Garrett came in and he was like, well, I'm the CEO. I'm going to jump in. I'm the owner, whatever. I was like, woo, but I lost that leadership position. Do you know what I mean? So I gave away ownership, but I didn't step up as a leader. And so I just kind of was just like, whatever. And I let my artists kind of do their thing. And I am the person that like hates conflict. And I get better as a business owner and as an adult. But even in our mastermind or whenever we have classes, when I hear that girl that like stands up and is like, I hate conflict, I'm like, that's going to fucking bite you in the ass real hard. You're going to learn some real hard life lessons if you don't figure out how to confront conflict and move on. But even in that, like I was that person. Like I get friends with everybody and I have like no structure, and the artist in me is just like, we got this, guys. You love me and I love you. And I was like naive enough to just like be like, it's cool. We got this, you know? And so I lack the leadership and the structure that I needed to in the very beginning, but it's because I wasn't a salon owner. You know what I mean? And I said this in my last podcast, I literally had so much passion and love for education and hair that I started backwards. I didn't own a salon and then start holding classes. I started a brand just to start educating on natural beaded rose because I thought it was an amazing extension technique, and I knew it was an amazing technique for women to make great money behind the chair and be a mom, because that's what I was doing. And so, yeah, like I think it's important. Like I should have been having like weekly team meetings, but then nobody could like get on the same schedule, and I'd just be like, oh, it's okay, guys. And it needed to be something that was mandatory. And
I mean, honestly, up until about 6 weeks ago,
I'd been
here for, I'd been here for 8 months.
There was one.
There was technically two team meetings
where we drank too much and didn't talk about work at all.
It started with, so how are we feeling? That was my first team meeting, was when I literally first got hired on in October.
I still really like that team meeting. It was a bonding moment that ended running around the montage in Laguna.
Because at the time, I didn't drink, and California has really changed me since. And they were like, really? Not even one shot of tequila? And I'm like, one shot. But little did you guys know, I'm either all in or I'm not in at all.
Yeah.
So we started drinking, and I'm like, another one. And that led to
I have to be honest, I didn't drink that much either. I swear that night, like, really.
Something changed in all of us.
Because then I was like, I drink more than normal.
So think about it. In 8 months, we had 2 team meetings. The first one, which was epic night, but it was not a team meeting.
But it was a very bonding moment, so we'll put it at that.
I recommend doing it slightly more sober,
yes.
Although those memories will live on forever.
Yeah, no, I don't regret it. What I regret is not having a follow-up meeting that we actually, like, got shit done. Like,
about.
I don't regret that meeting at all. I think if you have a combination of the shenanigans mixed with like, hey, we can have this relationship outside of work where we are friends, but when you come here, like, this is what the relationship looks in work. And that's what even Garrett and I have to do in marriage. You know what I mean? Like, I have to come in as the wife, and then I have to come in as the business partner. And I have to have respect at both levels. Like, I can't bring in marriage into business and business into marriage. It's 2 totally different roles.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think it's okay to go out with colleagues and have a drink or whatever and build that relationship and that bond if you want, but you better be real fucking clear and you better be business person on the other side of the front. And that's where I went wrong, is I worried too much about being everybody's friend and having this bond and just believing enough that friendship would take us to the promised land. And I got burned again. Like, I should know better. I'm like that person that's like, want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and then I'm like, God damn it.
But I've even witnessed that, like, firsthand when you, Garrett, and I had a sit-down meeting, and he said something to you at one point. I don't even remember what it was, but you looked at him, and he was like, I'm not husband Garrett.
Yeah.
I am partner Garrett. But I saw something almost, like, shift. You're like, oh, fine. Okay, fine. But it was, I kind of also wanted to laugh, which I was like, maybe now's not the best time to laugh at this, but you do have to have, like, those distinctions. So I feel like, and even when I became a trainer, because there were so many girls in the network that I was friends with, like, we were friends, we hung out, we went through this journey together, and I realized when I stepped into trainer role, there were some that didn't have that respect for me. Yeah. And I literally had to cross-check a couple, because I went to the network one day, and I'm like, hey, do not do this anymore. Yeah. And one of them did it that very night, and I checked her, and I was like, hey. Yeah. I realized we were friends, but if this is how it's going to be, then we are no longer friends, and I'm only your trainer. Right. I say that because I need you to understand what it is I'm doing here. So are we cool going forward or not?
And it was good that you probably did that in the beginning. And even with inside of my own team, like in the beginning, that's where I lacked, is I would just be like, it's cool, they're my friend, and I'm going to give that, I trust them. But I did. I trusted them as a friend. But I didn't trust them as a business partner. In business, everybody will do what they want to do that's necessary for them, unless you cross-check them on it. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, like, it was something that I should have said, no, this is the protocol. Do you know what I mean? No, this is the protocol. And even inside my own business, I feel like I rode the French train out too long with no structure when I finally tried to jump in and be the leader, and I said, no, nobody gave a shit. Nobody respected me. And that's why things went a little bit chaotic, you know?
It was almost like, yeah, okay, Danielle.
Yeah, like,
oh,
okay. is she in for this month and out for next month? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just, I was like, okay, well, that's not really what I intended, but I'm still the owner and you guys still have to respect me. And I literally just felt like it was like, I just lost the respect. And so I was I wanted to rebuild that, though. That's why I jumped back in and we were making course corrections. But unfortunately, again, turning that corner, like we talked about in our last episode, some people turn the corner with you and some do not.
And sometimes that really, some situations get so far, not out of hand, but they're too far gone.
Yeah.
Like there comes a point where you can't reel it back. So so really what we started doing inside of, well, not really we, but you and Garrett started doing inside of DKW was there were weekly team meetings, which I'll be real, I think pretty much everybody thought they'd fizzle out after a couple, and 6 weeks in, they're still going strong.
Yeah.
We're like,
I wanted to. I was like, Garrett, 6 weeks in. And he's like, God damn it, Danielle. And I was like, okay, you're right. If I'm going to get back in, I got to get back in.
And it does require like commitment. But I think what really is cool about the meetings is the communication that happens inside of them. And then even from there, we're birthed like the warrior, like walk and talks where you just literally walk and talk.
You know what I thought was the best out of doing the meetings is you find a flaw in the system and it gets rid of it quicker. So had we have not had the team meetings, we could have gone on with the same shit show that was going on inside of my own salon for another year.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. Like, it literally, like, when Garrett and I had trauma in our own marriage, we started going to marriage counseling, and we went twice a week for, like, 6 weeks. We, like, and literally, I swear that like, 6 weeks kind of, like, could have made us or broke us, but we turned the corner. You know what I mean? But it literally, and we joke around, we're like, we did therapy in, like, speed motion. Like, maybe couples go.
Shocker.
Yeah. But that's how Garrett does things, and so I have to, like, trust his instinct where he's like, listen, there's some cancer we got to deal with right now, and we're going to have to, like, address it every single week until we see where we're at. So, again, I believe, like, situations that could have drug out for a year can be corrected, and you have to ask yourself in your own salon, if you are a salon owner out there, like, how is there some stuff that's weighing heavy on my shoulders that I am not getting rid of based on not just doing a walk and talk or communication with your stylist or just letting it fester too long. Like, a lot can be changed just with communication on a weekly basis and meetings.
And it's crazy because when you don't have communication, stories are born, stories are birthed, and from there, everybody assumes that their story is true. So even your story it was like, hey, okay, I took a break for a while, I maybe stepped out a smidge too far, but now I'm back in, let's do this. Well, maybe the story of someone else was like, oh, fucking Danielle, here she is again, but it's cool, she'll be gone next week. You know what I mean? Or even like when people feel like they're entitled to things or they're being taken advantage of or they're not being appreciated, those things not being voiced and spoken and being like, hey, then, this is like, hey, can we talk? This is how I'm feeling. Like, it's not really cool, you know?
Right.
Even those things not being voiced creates that resentment and those hard feelings that then get harder and harder and harder. And there comes a point where you can't even turn a corner because the sidewalk's gone, man. It's done.
Yep. It's too late. And so then it's like to the point where you're like, well, you didn't turn the corner. You're going left and I'm going right. And I wish you the best with your left, but I'm going right.
And it's almost like there's literally like a roadblock. And like that is the cement wall, like in the middle of the highway. It is not moving because there's just too much.
Right.
So then let's also talk about, because another, really big thing in the industry with all artists and hairstylists, the word contract.
Dun, dun, dun.
Bum, bum, bum.
How dare you ask me to sign a contract? We're friends. We had tequila one night.
And I mean, does no one realize if you've ever had a job, any job, anywhere, shape, or form, even if you've had your own suite, your own salon, you are signing contracts. Right. You're signing rental agreements. You're signing insurance agreements. If you're getting products with like Oribe, you're signing agreements that you're ordering a certain amount. Like there's literally agreements inside of everything. And so what I think is interesting with that, like in the hair world, you hear the word contract and it's like, I'm
going to have my lawyer look over it. Do you know what a lawyer is? What are you looking over? Do you own a business? Are you an entrepreneur? Right. What do you need? What do you like? Just sign the contract.
Well, and I'm down for people to read things. Like I get it. Like, hey, I read every word of my contract. I really did. And there were some things that I'm like, but for me, I'm like, well, I don't understand what this means. So you know what I did? I went to our CFO and I was like, I don't think I know what this means. I'm like, is that what this means? He was really like, no, you idiot. It means this. And I'm like, okay, now that does make more sense. I'm
Instead
like,
of creating stories in your mind.
Absolutely. I just straight up asked, which I've always said I'm a pretty honest person, I feel, but sometimes I'm almost like too honest to a fault where I just get myself in trouble at that point. I'm like, you should have shut your mouth for sure on that one, but
it's a very direct person.
Good for you, I guess. But even inside of that, what's interesting is just like the last podcast we talked about putting yourself in the owner's shoes. Let's look at it this way. California law just now changed.
Yeah.
So everyone inside the salon was a 1099, which means we were a subcontractor. We basically, it's almost like, you would like hire a plumber to come in and like do stuff. It's basically imagine that, but for salons.
Right.
I'm not a salon plumber, so maybe that was not the best of examples.
And then I was like, wait.
Why are you a plumber again? I don't know, but I just am. So, but that's how it works. So inside of that, California law recently changed, and they were basically like, oh, that's so cute. You think you're going to keep doing that? The answer is no. Everybody has to be a W-2, which means we are now officially employees of the salon.
Right.
Did you or Garrett want to make us all W-2s?
No. No.
Nope.
It costs us more money to do that.
You now literally have to pay part of our taxes.
Yes.
It's no option, no way, shape, or form.
No, we did not want to do this.
Yep. But guess what? If you don't do it, you're screwed.
You have to close your shop if you don't.
They catch you. Oh, holy audit from hell. Like, it's not going to be good.
Right.
So, obviously, inside of that, and I'll be real, we've had contracts for DKW, but they were kind of like, you work here. Don't be an a-hole. Like, welcome.
Welcome, and don't be an asshole. Now sign here.
That's, pretty much what our contracts were. And inside of that, now that the laws are changing and everything's changing, you and Garrett are definitely at more of a risk.
Right.
Like, it's definitely a much, much bigger problem. Like, if we don't pay taxes, like everything inside of that.
Right.
So new contracts came out at DKW.
Right.
And sent some people into a tizzy. Some people couldn't have cared less. I think some people literally did not even read it. Like, they were just like, all right, I'm down. Like, it was really funny. But let's talk about why are contracts such like a moment for all artists?
I think they feel maybe being controlled. Like, I don't know, but ultimately we're controlled by laws based on the state. So it is what it is. You just have to, I don't know, you just have to read it and make sure that you feel good about it. But really, like, our contracts we had to change based on the new tax law. And it wasn't something we wanted to do, but we had to. Like, I can't even tell you how many date nights Garrett and I did where we just, like, fought about the salon. And I was just like, I'm just so fucking over it. Because, again, I'm that person that I'm just like, I think I'll literally, like, give people so much to the point where, like, I'm in pain and I don't care because I think at some level it's going to even out and we'll be good. And I think a lot of salon owners operate like that where they're like, it's fine. I'll take the brunt. I'll take the brunt. I'll take the brunt until you're like, I can't take the brunt anymore. And this, if I'm being real, this business isn't working out. And Garrett had actually owned several successful mortgage companies before the market crashed. And that's what he went through. He went through like his processors and all this thing. And like literally we were like racking up credit cards, but he was like cutting them checks for like 15, 20 grand a month because he was just like, it's cool. Things will level out. And then things didn't level out. And I was like, we don't even have any more credit cards that we can tap out. And we don't have any money to put food on the table or pay the mortgage. And that's when he was like, shit, and we dug ourselves too deep. And so Garrett was like, fuck no, we're not doing that again. And I had not owned a business prior. I mean, I had always done hair, but I didn't own a business to the level that he owned a business. And so I still was in the mindset like, it's fine, we'll just work it out. But ultimately, if it's like, I think of the parable of like when you go into a plane and they're like, if you don't put your gas mask on, like put your gas mask on first and then put or your gas mask.
I'm like, what plane are you taking?
I'm sorry, don't put a gas mask on. But the parable of like put on your air mask.
Put your air mask on first.
And then help your children. And that's how it has to be in business. And I think a lot of times like we ignore that and then that leads to chaos.
And I think the biggest thing inside of contracts that makes artists themselves panic is non-compete, non-solicitation.
Yeah.
Oh, the minute they see that, they are ready to like rip it up and throw it away and toss it. And once again, like I always say, put yourself in someone else's shoes. Okay, I can see how that's scary.
Right.
I totally can. If they're saying, hey, like you're here,
you look at even my salon, like I like have a huge education company. Like I'm not just DKW Styling Salon. So there's a lot more writing with it. And I have to do everything possible to protect my business. And so that includes non-competes. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you right now, like the said salon and somewhere else, like I learned a lot with like the things I went through with them. And I was like, no, like I have to create non-competes inside of my contracts and things like that to save my own ass. Like I just have to. And most business owners do that. If you go to any like kind of Tony and Guy salon or like a chain salon or anything like that, there's certain parameters in which people can go and do hair or move and they, things like that.
This is literally every industry.
It's every industry.
Literally every
like
industry.
This isn't like a new thing. But I think people, I don't know, I think people freak out because maybe based on where they're at right then. I think.
Well, and think of it this way. Let me paint you guys a little vision right now. So instead of you being the artist that works inside of a salon, you are the salon owner. You have bought or rented the space, you've built it out, you have artists, you're paying for the hair, you're paying for the color, you're paying for the tools. Not only are you doing that, because a really large part of BMS and Mastermind is actually advertising as well. So now, not only because they're commissioned are you providing all these things, now you're actually paying for the advertising, paying for the funnels, paying for the videos. You have someone doing all the consultations, someone booking all the consultations. You're literally providing everything. Imagine that you are the salon owner in this story. You are not the artist. You're the owner of the business. And someone decides to leave. How would you feel if this person then went to all their clients? They were like, hey, I'm leaving. Here's my number. Hey, I'm leaving. Here's my number. Hey, I'm leaving. Here's my number. Even if it's one of those, well, the client reached out to me first situations, just take a look at it as a business owner. How would you feel? You wouldn't like that at all because you spent...
Created the conditions.
Yes. You literally...
I like you build the brand. Created the conditions.
And when you're doing, especially guys, advertising and marketing, not easy. It requires a lot of work and a lot of know-how behind it. I learned all about it through BMS. Like that's before then it was like, hey, Sally Sue Joe, or Penny Ross, who's getting a perm every 3 months. Do you have any other friends? I mean, I don't want to give more perms. Do you have anything like friend? No, you don't. Oh, okay, cool. Got it. That was my literal marketing before BMS. So I think people forget to look at it from a different aspect. You're the one paying for this. Right. You're the one doing it, going through and doing all the work. So how is it okay or fair for then someone to leave and be like, well, all these people that I've been doing inside of this bubble, inside of your salon that you handed me these clients, I'm going to take them with me.
Right.
Wait,
and again, like
what?
If the client wants to, then it's like leaves you in a hard place. But then it's like, okay, well, at that same level, then I'm not going to continue to feed you overflow.
Absolutely.
Like you don't get a ride out. You don't get a ride out working in the heart of DKW and the brand and everything we built. Like you don't get to ride that out.
And I know that people always, like, I've heard so many artists say this inside of, like, non-competes and things like that. They're like, well, I didn't message the client. They messaged me first. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, but you also handed them your phone number. How? Like,
yeah, how did they get your number?
You know what I mean? Especially at DKW, we don't handle any of that. Like, sometimes the clients
and
will
I had, like, a
me,
really strict, like, you cannot text your client ever. Like, they go through the books. They go through our salon phone. They go through Lo, our salon manager. You do not text your clients. If you have any issues, you come directly to me or you come to my salon manager. And I was so crystal clear with that.
Well,
like,
and that wasn't even
over and over.
And that didn't even start being birthed from like someone's leaving, like F
no,
you guys.
That was just the policy that I put into place.
And because if you have one person handling the books, it's pretty easy. When you have 15 people or 7,
it makes the salon look stupid. They're like, oh, you said to come 5 minutes early, but then Lo texted me and said to come 10 minutes late. I don't know. And you lose respect for the whole system, the salon, the artists, everything. The whole experience goes out the window because you can't submit to structure, which is ultimately me just trying to make a successful salon.
And I feel so many salons right now run kind of like all willy-nilly from the seat of their pants.
Yeah, I was there.
We were all there not very long ago at DKW. And I think it's sometimes when you're so used to like working that way, the minute a little bit of structure comes in, you panic. You're like, I'm being controlled. I'm being taken advantage of. I don't like it. Like you freak and then you leave.
Yep.
But at the same time, I mean, guys, there's structure in everything.
Yeah.
There's structure to how you do hair. There's structure to how you highlight. Right. Even if you change it client per client, doesn't matter. There's a structure
to it.
There's a frame.
There's structure.
Always. So why is structure so like for artists? Like what is so wrong with having some structure?
You know what? I think that we just always want that freedom. And even like for me, I honestly like structure, but I'm kind of like a hippie. I'm just like, woo, whatever. But even for me, like I had to kind of like to even watch my own business run and operate. I knew that I couldn't fly by the seat of my pants anymore. Like
it's too big.
It's too big. I'm like, this won't work to scale. Like, this won't work to scale. I cannot do this anymore. So as much passion and drive as I have, that's not going to get me to where I want to go. So I'm going to have to, like, surrender a little bit and allow structure to come into place. Otherwise, like, my passion is not going to get me anywhere. It just won't.
And it's something that we even talk about inside of BMS, where it's great. All of us here are artists. That's awesome. We are clearly all hustlers because we just hustle.
Yeah.
But at the
We
same
weren't.
time, oh my, that's literally how the salon survived, was just hustler after hustler after hustler.
Yep.
But inside of that, that's not enough for any business. There comes
No.
a time where you have to put your CEO pants on and make the hard decisions that have to be done. And so if you're an artist inside of a salon, whether you're commission, whether you're a booth rental, just put a CEO mindset on for a minute and say, if this was mine, what would I do? And don't go in delusional like, well, I would, hair flip, never do that because I'm not this person. You know what?
Yeah.
When it's your ass on the line and your money and your house and your family,
People do weird shit.
you will make harder decisions based off of that maybe in a place of like, I'm gonna do whatever I want, then you don't care. And that's what some of our artists said, because a couple girls during the live training that we talked about during the last podcast, one girl was like, I was that entitled artist, like I was kind of that a-hole. And another girl chimed in who's probably 10, 15 years older. She was like, oh girl, that was me too. I was that guy. And I think it takes a lot to be accountable. Like even us sitting here, you're like, I jacked it up, man.
Right.
This is where I messed it up.
Right.
That's on me.
Right.
Everyone kind of needs to be accountable for where they sit, and don't play victim.
Yeah.
Because that's what
And
kind
don't
of,
act like you don't know what's going on, or act like, well, I did nothing wrong. Don't act like that. That's the biggest fucking lie I've ever heard. I can't stand it when I sit and look at somebody straight in the eyes and they're like, but I did nothing wrong.
Come on, everybody.
Come
on. In every situation.
Everybody has to take accountability.
Yep.
You heard mine. Like, you heard my side of the story. You heard my accountability.
Yeah. And really, that's actually the first time I've heard you say that. You were like, hey, I stepped out too far. That's 100% on me.
Yeah.
Yep. And I hear it, and I'm like, I look back, and I'm like, yeah, totally what happened, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because totally,
for sure.
like when you came on even last year, like we had more of a bond. I had literally, I lost respect in the time frame that I stepped out. I was just like, whatever, because I stepped out, but I forgot to lead. You know what I mean? And I think, but I was also felt like Garrett was like, I got this, but he didn't step in and lead either. So that's the problem. I'm going to throw my husband under the bus because I was like, babe, it's your business. Remember? Because he'd be like, don't bug Danielle. Don't give her any stress.
Yes!
Don't do this. And I would try to insert myself, but he'd be like, no, don't bug her. And I was like, well, nobody's there. I don't know. But then I was like, trust the process. And then I finally had to like put my foot down and I'm like, no, I got it. I got to still stay involved. And that's when like I jump back in my training and I'm like, I'm going to like I had to jump back in. And now I'm like, damn, it feels good to be back.
We were doing war cries. Well, I was doing war cries in here earlier. I'm like, we're back. So we're coming to the end of the podcast. Gosh, I forgot how quickly the time goes when you're in here. So
time warp.
yes, I love it though.
It's the padded walls.
Here's it's our crazy room, which is really what it is. So here's what I want you guys to consider. Whether you sit, for the business owners who are listening to this, where have you not had clear communication? Where do you see you're like, I have been slacking on this, and now maybe it's gotten a little bit out of hand and you need to reel it back in? And here's what I want you guys to see, that yes, 100%. Sometimes a situation has gone too far that there is no going back. But that does not mean that you cannot go forward. There is always a forward. Or on the flip side, are you the artist who has sat here and you're like, how dare they give me a contract? I'm not doing this. Or have you been in that place of like, I don't know what they're doing, thinking like, I want you to take a step back, put your CEO pants on and look at it from a business owner perspective. If this were your salon and you had to make the same decisions to make sure your business thrived, your salon thrived, your family thrived, the artist could continue to work and live and make money, like what would you make any different decisions?
It's hard to put the CEO pants on if you've never actually been a CEO.
Oh,
Once you've been a CEO and then shit goes sideways, then you have like respect for the higher CEO. But when you've never actually been a CEO, it's tough. So that's where I'm just like, that's where I have mental peace with myself when people do stupid shit, because I'm like, they don't know. They don't know. And I'm going to look like the bad guy, or I'm going to look this way, but I know better. So I can take what I've learned and I can take accountability, and I know moving forward that these are things that I'm going to implement, and I'm going to put my giant CEO pants on, and I'm going to move forward because I know where I'm going.
Absolutely.
And if I can't turn that corner, then everything I'm teaching is a lie. And I will turn every fucking corner you throw in my way. So
with that being
that
said,
being said,
Thank you. Ooh, look at this in sync.
I feel like we're newscasters.
Welcome. Thank you for attending the Big Money Stylist podcast, episode number 46. I can't do that.
This got weird.
I can't do it. So thank you guys once again for listening to the Big Money Stylist podcast, episode number 46. And tune in next week where we will be discussing the actual very first ever mastermind convention and BMS convention number 3. So see you guys next week.